Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates. It's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of December 18th. And really, I hope that by the time you are seeing this video, because it has been a busy weekend, so this video is a pre-record for us, but I am hoping that by the time you see this weekly video, you have had a chance to go through the entire weekend with the 2024 horoscopes that were done by 5 amazing astrologers, beautiful collaboration, and I hope that you really gained some information for it. So hopefully as well, you've been able to see that the individual videos for your 2024 horoscopes have all been uploaded individually so that you can hear it per sign and you don't have to wait for the 24-hour replay. So if you were looking for that, or you're looking for timestamps or something like that, you can just go to the individual video now, and hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for you to interact with and get your information as well. Now, we've still got a little bit of time before we're going to be heading into January, where you can do two things. One, you can still grab my packages that are half off. It's 260s and 230s that will take you through 2024. As well, come and join me over at Synchronicity Academy with our friend Nadia Shah, where I will be teaching about the nodes for 5 weeks. We're going to spend 5 weeks together, 90 minutes per class. If you can't come live, of course, you can get the class by replay. So come join me. All of the information is in the description box down below, and I can't wait to see you. My last hope for you, though, is that as you're seeing your weekly video, you've had a chance to watch everything else and then settle in and digest what this week has to offer for you. Because I will say it, first of all, Mercury did go retrograde last week. Yes, absolutely. And I think I had shock, and I didn't even mention that in the video last week. So I really apologize for that. But Mercury is retrograde as we're traveling this week. And as we're starting off the week right here on Monday, the 18th, we're going to see that retrograde Mercury is in a trine to Jupiter. And this is a really interesting energy, you guys, to start off on the week. Because first of all, anything that you've been looking at, going over in terms of what's been an authority in your life, what is something that you want to author, something that's been a structure or maybe even a responsibility that you've taken on in your life at some time, you're re-looking at that now because Mercury is flipped backwards. So you're looking at it with fresh eyes, or I don't necessarily want to say fresh eyes, but you're in a different seating area of the field. Remember, I talk about that. If you're new here, this is something I talk about, is that at first you're looking at a situation and you're on the football field or you're on the soccer field, depending on where you're from. So you're right there in the game and it all looks like this. But as you're continuing to climb through the seats and getting higher and higher up, you can see the situation from a different perspective. And that's very much so Mercury and Jupiter, because it's the planet of the small mind and the details, how things function and need to be broken down, is in a conversation, a nice one, an opportunity to gain new truth and new wisdom with the planet of the big mind, which is Jupiter. So this is a really interesting dynamic to be coming into your week with. So besides just seeing something with these different eyes from your different seating position, it is an opportunity for you as well to have these situations in your life where you're like, maybe I didn't have all of the information. Mercury is an information planet. Maybe I didn't have all of the information to think or to believe that this was a truth in my life, and now you're starting to get a different perspective. Small note here, if you have Mercury retrograde in your chart natally, or maybe in your progress chart or your solar return, this Mercury retrograde season is about bringing you more out than taking you back in. So if you do have a Mercury retrograde that you're working with in one of your energy snaps, this may not be the time where you're just considering the new perspective. You're having to have new conversation about what you know to be different now. You're not just seeing the different perspective and considering it. You're having those conversations. You're making those decisions. You're sharing that information. So this is going to be a different experience, I think, of this Mercury-Jupiter than the rest of us are going to be having if you don't have Mercury retrograde in one of those signatures, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind as you're traveling here, because this is a nice little pocket of opportunity that you can do something with. And that's the way trines work. They give you the pocket of opportunity, but you have to go actualize it. So whether it's Mercury retrograde or not Mercury retrograde for you, you definitely want to make sure you do something good with that, okay? All right, as we're traveling here Tuesday, something to take note of is, first of all, we're in the first quarter moon as we're traveling here on Tuesday at 27 degrees of Pisces, okay? So as we're experiencing this first quarter moon time, remember the first quarter is when the universe, you planted seeds at the new moon. You said, I'd like to begin this thing, and the new moon was in Sagittarius, right? You said, I'd like to begin this thing, I'd like to plant my seeds of intention, and we were working step by step by step with that particular new moon. And here at the first quarter, it's like, okay, it's time for me to be about it, and the universe is going to start doing the heavy lifting. The people, places, and things that do not align with the vision of your new moon vibration are going to begin to fall out, and it can be really so fast. And what I want to just calibrate your attention to this week is that your job is not to be reaching out this week, for all of these things, these people, places, things, ideas, old beliefs, truths that are falling out, but instead let the universe weed your garden. Let the universe take what needs to be going. And your job is to be future forward minded. What are you building? Even write it down this week. What are you building? What does this mean to you? Why do you want this? What is the direction of where you are going? Because you need to go that direction. So that's what the first quarter is signaling to us, is to flash back to your new moon. Flashback to moons that were happening for you 9 months ago, right? What was happening at that time? And now you're like, I need to be about it. I need to stay on the track and go this way, regardless of what is happening around me. That's the way that you can really use that energy. But again, I really want to say my experience, whether it is in a progressed lunar phase or it is in a monthly lunar phase, what's happening and changing at the first quarter can be really, really fast. So instead of being freaked out, let's be really proactive with that energy for sure, okay? So we'll be traveling with that all of Tuesday. And just the moon in Pisces in general is kind of a call to us to go, okay, I need to align with what's happening with me here. How does this sit with my spirit? How does this sit with my intuition? How does this sit with the portion of me that has to show up and do life when no one else is watching, right? Like that part that has this sacred, spiritual, Piscean, water, emotional integrity to the decisions that we're making as well, okay? Now, we're not quite done with that as we're traveling here on Tuesday, because then we're going to see the moon go void, of course. So make sure you've got your digital transit calendar from our friends over at Wise Guys Collective. You can get it in the description box down below, or you have some kind of planetary tracker so that you can see when the moon is going void, of course, because that's the time to put it down. Finish up things that are happening. It's not time to start new things. It's time to rest, to be easy, to let the energies not be so flat, because there's not a real connection happening there for the moon. So you could be making a decision during a void, of course, moon time, and there's just no emotional content behind it. And it's kind of like, when you light a match and it's like, yes, it's sparked, and then it goes out like that, and you're like, oh, it's like that. So you want to have a little bit of emotional content, or just rest if you can. Then we're going to see the moon move into the vibration of Aries. Okay, so the moon moves into fire on Tuesday, which is a natural Mars day. So there's a lot of good energy as you're traveling here. So some of the questions are, first of all, where do you need to do you? How is the self-care going? How is it going where you're considering what you're doing and what you're putting into situations, and how that is shaping the situations that you're engaging in, right? Is there too much selfishness coming up, or is there something where you do need to be a warrior and you need to speak up for yourself? You need to say, okay, I need to go this direction. I need to handle this thing. I need to have a fire under me for this particular direction. So you'll be checking in on those things for the next couple days as the moon travels through Aries. Now, as we're going to get to Wednesday, we're going to get later in the day and see Venus in an opposition to Uranus. As these two are opposing one another, first of all, Uranus is just really an interesting energy, and it is in Taurus, the sign that Venus rules. So there is this interesting connection of similarity, even though it's in opposition. They're going in different directions, right? There is this conversation, though, that is like, yeah, I don't think I would normally be interested in that, or I wouldn't normally be able to hear that or perceive that. That seems very opposition. That seems very different for me. That seems really far that way. That's a really far out thought. That's a really different kind of person. That's a really different kind of idea. And yet somehow you're working these two into an integration where you're like, okay, well, so maybe this isn't the plan that I have. Maybe this isn't how I thought it should be. And instead, I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to roll with this and see where it goes. Now, remember, we're just a day away from the universe doing a lot of tending to your garden, taking out things that don't match your vibration anymore. So when it throws new people, new opportunities, new truths into you, instead of pushing it off and getting opposing, getting further and further and further away from something that it may be coming to innovate you, see where you can find the sweet spot in the middle and integrate new people, new information, new energies that present themselves. That's a phenomenal use of that particular energy, okay? All right, on Thursday, Mercury is still retrograde in a sextile to Saturn. So again, this will apply just like it did on Monday. If you've got Mercury retrograde in one of your charts, this may be a time where you're coming more out. If you have Mercury direct in your chart, then you're really experiencing the go inward of the retrograde. But in a sextile to Saturn, it's saying there's information, decisions, communications to be made here, maybe even business to be done or to be reconsidered. And the pocket of opportunity is here, but also you have the pocket of opportunity, but you're intelligently taking action on it. And the thing that I like about no matter which direction this Mercury-Saturn connection is, you're grounded in what you're thinking. Something that you're seeing is you're like, yeah, this is right. This is what it has to be. This is what has to be done. This is the truth. This is what I need to take responsibility for. This is where I need to take responsibility in my finances. If it's in your second house, this is where, you know what I mean? It just becomes this information where you are authoring. You are taking the opportunity to author or re-author and review your story here in connection with Saturn, because Saturn is saying in Pisces, we got to stop talking about it. We got to be about it. We need to move forward. We have to be about this, right? So here Mercury is like, I have new information that allows me to walk my talk. To really walk my talk. And I think that's a beautiful energy to experience. Okay, on the 21st, we're going to enter into the solstice. Now, depending on where you are, winter, summer, either way, we're going to have a solstice. So happy solstice and happy birthday to our Capricorn friends, bringing in the beginning of the Capricorn tribe. For all of us, whether you're Capricorn or not, the Capricorn area of your chart is having its annual light up, okay? So make sure you're taking note, like what was happening for you a year ago in this area of your chart. For example, for me, Capricorn actually lights up my 5th house space. So I'm going to review, what did my 5th house look like last year? You know, where my ambitions were, where my practicality was at, where I was learning to manage or to delegate or coming into my own maturity, Capricorn as the wise feminine, right? What was happening? So make sure you're checking that out in your chart as well. Now, if you happen to be a Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius, it might be time for you to also be ordering your solar return charts or going to pull them online so you can see what the rest of your full year theme has to offer for you, especially based on where you're living, okay? Later in the day, we're going to see the moon now move into the vibration of Taurus, so it becomes a very earth sign oriented, grounded kind of Thursday jam is what we have going on. Now the moon switched out of that Aries vibration and into Taurus. We're getting grounded. And one of the questions I want to ask you is truly like, when you take off your shoes and you're standing in your life, your kitchen, your bathroom, your bedroom, your garden, how does it feel when your feet are in connection with the earth? Can you feel your energy? Can you feel a groundedness? What can you tell about your body? What messages is your body? Uranus is also in Taurus. What message is your body giving you that's maybe coming out in the form of emotional content? But go outside, go someplace where you can take your shoes off and experience this week. Slow down, slow your breathing, become steady, become still, stand like a mountain pose, and feel the energy. And what do you find out, especially emotionally? What fear is coming up? What settling? What stability are you feeling in your body? Now, the moon's also in Taurus, so I think have a snack, have your creature comforts, put on the good jammies, right? Stand with your feet grounded into the earth in your favorite outfit, okay? I think that's fine. All right. When we get to Friday, we have got the sun in a conjunction with that Mercury, who is retrograde. So this is what we call Cazimi. So the sun and Mercury, when they come together in whatever form or fashion, Mercury's retrograde, Mercury's not retrograde, it is a blessing. The information you have is blessed by the beams of the sun here. It is, it's like information comes to you and there's a knowing. People will often call this a download or just a knowing. I really like it that I believe it's the Amish who say I had a knowing or I had a leading, right? So this could be a leading or that thing where you just know that the information you're working with is truth. It is right. If it's a Mercury retrograde because you have Mercury direct in your chart, you're like, I do understand why or how this needs to be re-edited, reworked, redone, reconsidered, right? So there's just a knowing that comes with that Cazimi, and work with it because it's not just interesting information. This is an energetic course correction that can stop you from making huge mistakes that if you weren't going to look otherwise, you could make them and not know that there was another option anywhere around. So this could be a course corrector and saver for you. Later in the day, Mercury is going to move back into the vibration of Sagittarius. If you remember, it went retrograde in Capricorn and has been sliding back to this Sagittarius vibration where we've already seen this information, right? We've also just recently had a new moon in this Sagittarius vibration. So again, now go back into the Sagittarian area of your chart. What are you finding out now, especially from the new moon to now, that you didn't necessarily see before? What are you inspired about? Where are you ready to know a new truth or go on a new adventure? What is inspiring you that maybe you couldn't quite connect or you couldn't actualize? Because from that new moon in Sagittarius, we've also been moving step by step by step by step by step to a goal. Now we've had chance to rework some things so that the steps that we're taking can be smoother. And we're also maybe looking, Sagittarius, at teachers, mentorship, things like that can benefit us. Because remember, with mentorship or with the appropriate grouping, we go further faster. And what I mean by that is if you want to grow, right? If you're saying, I want to grow into this particular skill in my life, you've got to be surrounded in groupings of people where what you do seems normal or it is normal. Because if not, what happens is you're like the odd man out and you're catching that vibe of, I don't exactly fit here, or you're catching other people's fear because they can't see your vision. You want to be locked and loaded into a tribe or with a teacher or with a mentor who understands the vision and it's normal. So then they're helping you build or move towards something in a way that is much more seamless. And I think this Mercury retrograde is great for that. As we're in Saturday, as we're actually going to close out the day on Saturday, we're going to spend time with that void of course mood before the moon on Sunday is going to enter into the vibration of Gemini. So enjoy that. We're also going to be welcoming in Christmas Eve or Christmas, depending on where you are. Or if you don't celebrate that at all, it's still just going to be the 24th, okay? Then the moon will enter into the vibration of Gemini, which is a beautiful time for celebrations, communications, gathering, all of the networking, lots of conversation. Of course, this moon's ruling planet, Mercury, is retrograde at the time, so it can also be a very nostalgic thing. You're here, we're at the end of a calendar year, so are you thinking, reviewing, going back over, goodness knows, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, they're all going to show you your year-end replay. Those should be coming out like hot fire. So it's just this opportunity, I think, to go back over everything you've taught, you've learned, you understood as you've traveled through 2023, getting ready for 2024. And to just really make sure that you're on par here on Sunday, we've got the sun in a sextile with Saturn. The sun bringing that light, heat, life, and vitality. Saturn being over here about I've been learning and crystallizing my intuition. I've been not just talking about it, I've been being about it, especially in terms of trusting my intuition, trusting my creativity, trusting my vision and my ideals. And here on Sunday, I think it's like, you know what? I really think it's this look back where you're like, man, I was really convinced this morning that maybe I wasn't doing so well. Maybe I'm really off track. And it's like, you've looked back over your year, you're having a conversation with somebody about how far you've come or where you're at today versus where you were a year ago, and you see the situation in a different way. You see that the work that I've been doing and how I've been doing it is paying off. And, or you're like, I do see where I need this course correction at this time in order for my hard work to pay off. But more than anything, I think that Sunday is really about, I think about Colorado, we had this thing called the incline. And if you live in Colorado or you've been there, you know about it. It's this really steep climb you do up the side of the mountain. And then there's this fake summit that makes you look like you're at the top. And you're like, oh my God, I'm almost there. And then they're like, just kidding. There's so much more mountain. And so the thing is you're walking up on it on railroad ties. And really, for me, the success of doing that was never really celebrated by getting to the top. It was about, I would walk a bit, and then I turn around and look back. And as I turned around and looked back, the view of the mountain, the terrain, everything I could see, all of the steps that I had taken up to there, it was honestly for me in the turning around and looking back at what I had accomplished, the people I had talked to and laughed with and supported as we were walking up the side of this really hard mountain together, and then there were people coming up the side of the mountain and they were like running it. And I was like, that's not my life, right? So I met people along the way whose life that was not, we weren't doing that. I said hi to the runners, whatever, but the support, the connection, the view really happened for me when I turned around and I looked back to see how far I had climbed. And I think that that's where there's a real opportunity here, because it's also inspiring. It's where you see how you're authoring your own story. It's where you see where you need to author your own story. Do you need to go in and say, I can't work this many hours, it's killing me? Do you need to say, I can't eat like this is harming me? Or is this where you say, man, I've really been doing good at this preparation that's been helping me be successful? And then you can also share that with someone else. Whatever it is, by looking back at the journey, I think you get to see the beauty of what you've done and a continuation to grow on the pathway forward. All right, my absolutely beautiful friends, I hope you have a great week. Go watch your 2024 horoscopes. Of course, January will be around here in a heartbeat, but I didn't want to massively overload you guys with 58 video upload. We're going to do it just a little bit of the time. So enjoy this week. You'll see those January horoscopes coming around here just shortly. But for now, enjoy your weekly and enjoy your 2024s, and I'll see you soon. Bye, friends.